Thank you all for being here. My name is Linda, as he said. I'm a director of experiences at the ImPact. The ImPact is a non-for-profit organization. It's a community of families and family offices that have one thing in common, and is that they want to align their values with their portfolio. The ImPact was founded, I think, in 2014, and I came to work at the ImPact as an intern in 2016. By 4 U.S. families. I think it was like this, from the third to the fourth generation of the Ford family, the Rockefeller family, the Pritzker family, and one self-made millionaire in New York City. And this is what we do. We do community building. We give these families a space to talk about things that are hard to think in different scenarios, and sometimes it's not easy to be questioning all the time how your money is being put to work, not only for your family, but for the planet and people as a whole. So with that, the first thing that we talk about at the ImPact, and when we started, is this, that we hold this to be true, and is that all all investments have an impact. It can be negative or it can be positive, but no investment lives on a silo. Investments and any economic activity has an impact in the world. And these families that founded the ImPact recognize that. They actually have one funny story of one of our co-founders. This person was kind of avoiding the conversation of, it's time for you to step up, it's time for you to step up, you're the next one, you need to start making your financial decisions. Because there is a point when advisors and bankers do need your input. It cannot live in autopilot for a long time. So she was doing volunteering work in Africa for sanitation. And she was standing there in front of a literal shithole. Right, in Africa. And she pulled up her phone, I guess the only phone that she could get in Africa at the time, I think it was 2012. And she picked up the phone, and it was the banker saying, we have this decision to make with this big portion of your capital. We need to make that decision right now, because it is present, right? And this is the situation that a lot of the people that come to the ImPact are facing. They're now sitting on a big pot of cash that they need to start making choices about. And she was standing there and saying, well, I don't want to make those decisions, but wait a minute. I'm here giving my life to trying to help solve big problems in the world with my time. Why I cannot do that with my money too? Why, if I'm being given this privilege of having this money, why I cannot use that for this purpose too? And this is how one of the first family offices in the US that is 100% impact focus was born. So this story tells a lot about what is our community and the type of families that get to us and said, I need help, I need a community, I need investment deals, I need some support thinking about strategy, and that's exactly what we do. So let's agree on that for the ImPact, for us, every investment has an impact. And then just to get it out of the way, because there is a lot of confusion with the terminology. It's impact investing, it's ESG, but how do you do it? How is it done differently? And what we're saying at the ImPact is, stop the nonsense. Investing with impact lives on a spectrum. It doesn't have to be black or white. So we have this spectrum that we talk about the first time we meet a family, and it's, you have different investment strategies where you can think about, in fact, from the spectrum going from traditional investments all the way through philanthropy. Because don't think, philanthropy is also capital that you're using, and you also need to be strategic about it. And also, your philanthropic deployments of capital can be very well connected to your investment capital. And I always tell this to my families, I think I've said it here before. It's not that you are an investment business person from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then suddenly at night you become a philanthropist. And then you live those two lives if they're separate lives. Most people live their life like that. They do something with the philanthropy, and then with the investment portfolio, they have a totally different approach. But the reality of life is that all that capital that you are deploying has a potential to create impact. So in the this is my, okay, in the left side, we have the traditional investing, right? What you can do there if you care about climate change, or if you care about education or human rights, you can, the first thing that you can do is create a screen that say, at least I don't want to be associated with things that are hurting, at least when I'm working with my philanthropy. And I'll tell you the story of the Rockefeller Brothers Fund later, but this is their story, right? Like, for years, RBF, the Family Foundation, has been investing millions and millions of dollars for climate change. And then one day, these two next gens, two siblings that got to be part of the investment committee of the Family Foundation, said, oh, why don't you show me the other 95% of the portfolio? Just curious to see it. Well, it was all fossil fuels. So it's like, if you're, this next gen told me, it's like, I feel like I went for a run this morning, and because I went out of my run, I was super hungry. I just stopped by a McDonald's and had like a big hamburger and a shake. It's kind of what you're doing with this hand. You're kind of not thinking how this hand is affecting. So you can create a screen. The other one, when you go more deeper, is that you can actually think about managing risk through ESG, controversial, but I'm going to spell it out, environmental, social, and governance factors, right? There are a lot of investors that are thinking, well, if when my advisor is looking at risk, if this person of this team of people are thinking about many more factors than just what is traditionally looked at, I may be able to manage risk for the longer term. I was speaking with someone here who was on a fireside chat before, who said, well, a lot of families do it for the short term. I think these newer generations that are coming into stepping and managing their wealth are thinking about the longer term, are thinking about what else can I leave my kids other than buildings and financial portfolios. So it's risk management. The other one is ESG opportunities. So let's look up best-in-class companies and funds that are having into consideration these three factors and that are trying to lead the industry, or like, let's at least have good practices. Let's at least don't go beyond what is required for profit, and think about environmental, social, and governance factors in a way that's progressive, that takes us from avoiding bad things, like maybe doing some good. And then from there forward is what I say, this is where I say, people, this is your capital activation for impact. This is when you're not just managing your portfolio for it not to be something that you don't want to be, something that does not reflect your values, towards actually, I want to use my portfolio on a strategic way because I want to solve the issue of education in girls in LATAM, or education in girls in the US. And then you start to look strategically for investment, still things that are gonna produce a profit. That maybe you may need to be more patient. It may be to have, you need to accept a lower return, but business models that wanna solve that problem. And then you go towards solutions for different things, or actually creating support. Putting capital where other people wouldn't put capital just because you believe in the cause. And then philanthropy. And then why families do this? Over the past 9 years, I think I've been at the ImPact, I've seen three things that families look for when thinking about values alignment. I'm just gonna check my time. The first one that they think about is family alignment and integrity. They want, again, to pass more than money. They want to pass values. And a lot of them come to the ImPact saying, my uncle doesn't want to listen. My grandfather needs to retire. And we need to find, we're having conflicts. We're in this stuck moment where we are not making decisions because we don't agree. They actually find that talking about values and talking about a mission and a vision for their family is the one thing that unites them and allows them to move forward. Then, of course, as I mentioned it before, risk management, long-term financial performance, and then maximizing impact. Putting our money to work to solve water scarcity in Mexico. Those are just a couple of examples. And then what we want to do at the ImPact is for families and for individuals within families to think about this. Because a lot of the conversations that they have with their advisors and with their managers are so restrictive. You cannot do this. Shouldn't be putting your money there. This is too risky. How are you going to do it? Our bank doesn't have that product. We cannot offer you that. This is not for, how much money do you have? It depends on that. And a lot of families believe that, but they actually know. Like, they're the owners of their money. They can imagine what is more with their money. They can imagine how much more their money can do for them. And this is what we want to tell families. It is about helping you understand what you need and want, then helping you map your own financial wealth management system, right? Like, who are the individuals in your own wealth management system? And then help you navigate that so you can be able to imagine the world. And this takes years. This is not 1 year. This takes years to do, but it's doable. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So, and we at the ImPact develop a 10-step guide, like 10 steps that we believe all families that want to be values aligned can apply. I'm going to give you 5 because we're short on time. And I'm going to start with the first one, which sometimes is the obvious one, but it's the hardest and the longest one. And it's establish your guiding lights. Not only print a mug or print them on a coaster that you put in your family office, make language that you can put as part of an investment policy statement and give to your bankers and give to your advisors and to your managers, and then make something so strong that whenever there is uncertainty in the world, not talking about these days, no, whenever there are times of uncertainty in the world, political, economically, you can have a guiding light. You can know that whenever you deviate for like something's happening, something feels weird, you have language to share with your team and with your family about what you want with your money, where are you going. So this is very important. Then determine which assets to invest for impact. I've seen these 2 models at the ImPact. A lot of families come with a legacy portfolio that is all across asset classes, and it is very conventional, the 70-40%, and it's like, probably people ask you a couple of questions, but it's kind of an autopilot thing. And then you can do one thing with that, and it's integration. Opportunistically look for, have an eye open and an ear open for opportunities on impact across asset classes, right? And start experimenting as things come. The second one that I've seen a lot of next gens, the youngest next gens, the younger people, the 30-year-old that comes to the families and says, I'm going to do a carve-out. Give me 20 million out of my trust. Put my trust account, and I'm going to create an impact investment portfolio. And that can be across asset classes with a theme of impact, or it can be one asset class, which is the exciting asset class for impact investing. What do you think, maybe? Venture capital and private equity. That's what is exciting, and people start experimenting with those things. Then the third one is establish impact goals in relation to your financial goals. And it's possible. You don't have to choose one or the other, right? Like, you just need to ask, what do I want to achieve with my money? And as I told you before, there are kind of 3 buckets. I want to avoid harm. My priority is to avoid creating harm in the world, and I want my investments to be aligned with my values. That's values alignment. Then benefit stakeholders. I want this money to go to investments in things that are contributing positively to people and planet. And then contribute to solutions. I want my money to be funding solutions that without my funding money will not exist. This is key, because families have a role, and that's why family offices having a great feeder of capital for the ecosystem, because you have flexibility. You're not a multilateral bank. Even if multilateral banks have a mandate for development, it's so hard to go through them. It's so hard. They take a long time making decisions, but a family, no. You generally have an investment committee that has family members that can be nimble. They can choose to take more risk. They can choose to they do things differently. And because I really, really want to see women in Colombia thrive, I'm going to put money in this investment. I may know it's going to be, I'm going to be taking on more risk, but I'm doing it because if I don't do it, they're going to have a hard time finding other sources of capital. So those are the choices that families can make, and we call that being catalytic. You can be a catalytic actor for an ecosystem. Then this is, I think, people should look at the relationship between return, risk, and impact on a dynamic way, meaning it doesn't have to be the same all the time, but be intentional. Spell it out for your team, spell it out for your family office executives. And I have two examples here, just to show you how two different families can be two different sides of the spectrum. The first one is the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, right? Big portfolio, I already told you part of the story. The thing with them is that they said, we want to overturn the portfolio, we want to do it gradually, and we're not willing to take any financial concessions. Meaning, we're still gonna say that it is possible to create a values-aligned portfolio, keeping the 8% return that we have for our portfolio. And they did, and they said, actually, part of that, we're gonna do 10%, that's gonna be the more impactful thing, not philanthropy, before philanthropy, contributing to solutions. 10% is gonna be impact investing straight. They've done this, I think, since 2010. The case studies on the website is fascinating. You can find it, and they publish their portfolio, the investments and the amounts, and the tracking. They track how that has performed against the market. And it's been very successful. It's been so successful that they, instead of doing not 10%, now do 20%, and 98% of the portfolio is aligned, meaning they don't have fossil fuels anymore. And then there is this other family, Seniard. They're a UK family, and they inherit, of course, a legacy portfolio, and they said, we want to be impact first. That's it. We want to prioritize the impact aspects and the impact evaluation ahead of financial return, right? And they've done that. They have a 685 million assets under management, and this is the breakdown of that portfolio by sectors, because they're more asset class agnostic. They care more about the sectors. They want to solve for inequality in the UK. So they're investing in social in small and medium enterprises in the UK. They're funding small farm holders. I also invite everyone to go to their website, because they have their portfolio, and it's so interesting. They have across asset classes. And for a lot of their portfolio, they have not had to concede on financial returns. And they have fixed income, they had public equities, they have a lot that is venture. But they've been able to do it across asset classes. So to me, it's like when you see that picture of that person thinking of the world and like asking themselves those big questions, what is this money for? How can I use this money more effectively? The impact is here to tell them, you can do whatever you want. It's possible. You just need to open up your mind and help your advisors and your other family members open up their minds. Step 4 is develop an impact investment strategy. And I'm not going to go in deep into this, but there are today a lot of frameworks to think about impact, the impact of investments, the impact of companies and funds. And the first one that we said that's obvious is like, look at the SDGs. What did you care about? Align that with the SDGs. Then find parametrics across by asset class. Then think about what are the things by asset class that you're going to look for. Then create a guide. What questions are you going to ask the funds? What questions are you going to ask your bankers? And then start identifying, join communities, join networks, ask around, like, what is a mutual fund that does public equities that does things right? And we have quite a couple that are doing a good job. And then measure. Implement is just about make sure now that you know what you want to achieve in terms of impact, you are incorporating that across the investment process, that you are asking questions about impact across from deal sourcing to deal making. I cannot see. 1 minute, okay. It's hard to see. Then measure and feedback. And as I told you before, for impact investors and for people with money, for family offices, there are two things that they can do in terms of impact. One is actually investing in things that are doing good things, right? Like funds that are investing in good companies, that have good practices, that are trying to solve a problem in the world. That exists today. There is no a lack of investment opportunities that are trying to do that. But then it's about your money. It's about the type of signals that you send with your money. It's about, as I told you, wanting to be catalytic. It's about sending a message to the market. I'm actually going to do a very public de-investment of this because I disagree with the way they're treating kids or women. Or as you can see, I'm passionate about gender-lens investing, so I'm all the time thinking about female and women and their place in the world. And then find an impact management methodology, and I hope you all get these slides, and I added links to helpful tools. And then my last message is, people want these things to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order. The reality of life, it's not. It is not, and it's okay. Lower the bar. It's not hard. Doing values alignment is not hard. It's simple. Your advisors are thinking about it because a lot of next gens that are walking you into bank offices, they're asking about it. So everyone is thinking about it. As politicized as it has gotten, it's not. Like, people are doing it, and people are good. My fundamental belief is people are good. And I heard this from a member the other day saying, you know what, actually, I know that what I'm inheriting to my kids is not only buildings and cars and an investment portfolio. I'm leaving my kids with a world, with a planet to live in, with a society, with society dynamics, with an air to breathe. So people are thinking about it. I'll let you, and if this is shared, I led the 10 actions here, again, to reinforce the idea. People can start wherever they want. Most people start experimenting with one investment, like I think step 7, like they want to do an investment. They say, actually, this is very cool. Actually, I want to do it. And what most people do is that have a carve out of their assets, and they have that part of the portfolio that they call impact, they manage directly to their family office. Well, other things, they let more advisors do it. So this is the game of really being in the room with people who can make choices and that can make them for the long term. That the incentives to them, it's really what I want to leave to my family and the impact that I want my family to have in the world. And with that, I hope it's not so much over time. If you want to shoot me an email. Thank you. There are a bunch of guides. So what we're doing at the Impact is that for each step, we're developing a very, very rich set of case studies, tools, templates for each action. And a lot of them are on our website and they're open. And if they're not there, send me an email and I will send you anything, any question. And look at the report. There is a cool report with case studies. So thank you, everyone.